So what we have here is 2 pounds of great northern beans that I put in a bowl and covered in water. And in 3 hours, they sucked up all that water. So I gave them a rinse and I put them in this big old pot. And I'm going to simmer them for about 30 minutes under a medium boil or a low boil. But now I'm going to make my baked bean sauce, y'all. Here we go. 4 cups of tomato juice, followed by 2 cups of tomato sauce. There's a huge difference, you know. So into this, once I'm done shaking that off, we're also going to add Mrs. Butterworth's. Now you can use molasses, but I like Mrs. Butterworth's for that little hint of maple. We're going to add a 1/4 cup. Now I'm going to keep the, I'm going to put all the ingredients down below in the comment section. Here we go with a cup of brown sugar and apple cider vinegar. We're only going to put 1 tablespoon. This is going to make 8 pints of baked beans, by the way. And who doesn't love baked beans? Summertime, I'm told summertime is coming. Although here in Colorado, we might differ. So now I'm going to throw in a little S&P, salt and pepper. And I'm also going to add ground mustard, a teaspoon. So far, it's a teaspoon of each of these last 3 ingredients. So a teaspoon of that, and then allspice. I'm just going to put in the slightest little bit of allspice. Because, you know, that stuff can be overpowering. So I'm just putting the slightest little wee pinch. Which I'm not even pinching, I'm doing wee shakes. Alright. And then finally, the secret liquid smoke. I have hickory, but feel free to use any other flavor. Mesquite, applewood, whatever you got. Liquid smoke's awesome. It does provide 2 teaspoons of this and you're going to think you're at a barbecue. It just gives it that smoky little something something that you just cannot replace. Unless you have liquid smoke, then you can replace the crap out of it. So anyway, we're going to stir this up. And these beans, let me just tell you what. Nobody wants to bake on a hot summer's day. So just take a can of these out of your pantry. Heat them up on the stovetop or on your grill. It doesn't matter. But don't heat up the house. That is just my ground mustard that formed a ball and didn't break up, but I mashed it up. Don't you worry none about that. So we're going to bring this up to a slow simmer, and we're going to go about 30 minutes with this as well. Meanwhile, let's get our jars ready. So for your jars, make sure you sterilize them. I do mine in the dishwasher on the high heat dry part. They come out sterile as they can. Now, I'm adding a teaspoon of chopped onions or a tablespoon into every single jar. Why? I could add it to the sauce like many other people like to do. However, they're heavy and they fall to the bottom. And I love onions in my baked beans. So I want to make sure that when I pour the sauce over the beans, that one jar doesn't get a disproportionate amount of onions while others get none. I'm doing the same thing with green pepper. Why? Because green pepper rocks in baked beans. So that's what I'm doing. The exact same thing. Now, I've rinsed my beans off, drained them, and now I'm going to put them in this jar. Those Great Northerns, they're good. I'm here to tell you. And that's the kind of bean you normally find in pork and beans or any other baked bean you get in a can. And why, again, do we want to can our baked beans? Because there's no preservatives. Think about it, peeps. No preservatives. Let's be kinder to what we're putting in ourselves. We ingest poison on a daily basis. If you start canning your own food, you're at least limiting a good chunk of that. So, you know, it's healthy to can. So I'm going to fill all these beans, not all the way up, but to the bottom of the rings that you see at the top, or the treads. Now we're going to dump this sauce in there. Doesn't that just look good? You can almost see the flavor. It wants to smack you in the face. That dark, yum city beans. These beans are the bomb. So they're all filled up. I'm taking my plastic little stick here called a debubbler. It's very important that you get all the bubbles out, all the air bubbles if there are any. And when you're doing beans, I guarantee you're going to have some. So we want to get them out. Why? Because we don't want bacteria. Air has bacteria, so we want to get them out. Now, if you look, you're going to see the level of my sauce has dropped. That's because I got rid of air bubbles. Good thing. Air bubbles cause food spoilage, and we don't want to spoil nothing. Our job here is to make something healthy for the family that everyone loves. All right, now headspace is important. You're going to read a lot about headspace. So from the bottom of the tread where you screw the lid on to the top of the jar is 1 inch. Halfway up is a 1/2 inch of headspace. So our jars are all filled, looking good already. I got white vinegar and a paper towel, and we are going to wipe the lids off. The jar tops off. This is super important because you want your lids to adhere and make a good seal on top of your can, your jar. Anything on there, residue, can prevent that from happening, and you won't get a good seal. How do you know you got a good seal at the end of the day? First, you're going to hear them go ping, ping as the pressure pulls that lid down. Another way to test is after they cool, stick your finger on top of the lid and press down lightly. If it doesn't give, you got yourself a good seal. Also, at the end of the day, you're going to let these sit for 12 to 24 hours. Take off the lids before you store them and wash the jars off. In the comments section below, I am going to put down a step-by-step instructions for you, because canning is not hard, but you do need to follow the instructions and step by step. I'm going to make it super easy. We're going to get all these lids on here, and then we're going to put the rings on, which of course are separate, and we're only going to screw them on finger tight. The reason for this is you don't want to buckle that lid. You want it to be as flat as possible. Don't worry, nothing's going to get inside that jar. So we're going to put these lids on, and once they're on, we're going to put them in the pressure canner. Again, these are low acid foods, so you cannot hot water bath these. They have to be pressure canned. Super important. So we have about 2 inches of water in the bottom of this, and we're going to add all 8 pints. I don't know if I mentioned that. We're doing pints, not quarts, into this pressure canner. Now, the reason I'm doing pints instead of quarts is it's just the wife and I right now, and we don't like to waste a lot of food. So we can always do 2 jars if we have company, or 4. It doesn't matter. Plus, you can always give some away as gifts. I know I gave away 2 of these jars already. I don't know if the people know that they're getting them, but I have plans to give away 2 of these jars. So you can see my pressure canner fits 8 pints comfortably. So I'm just going to move them all around a little bit. It doesn't matter if they touch, but it's just a matter of preference for me. I like to move them around so they're not touching. There's my vinegar. That's going to help keep the jars clean, not cloudy. They're going to give them a better look. Now we're going to put this lid on. Once we get it snug, we're going to lock her in place, and we're going to crank the heat up to high. Now see that little nipple back there? I put that towel back so hopefully it can help you see it. I don't know if you can or not. Anyway, you want it to spew like a volcano, so steam's coming out. That's got to go 10 minutes. Now, here's the finished product. Yum City. Again, I'll put more instructions in the comments below. Hey, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing. Baked beans are good. They're even better when they're canned, and you don't have to go through any problems whatsoever. Heat them up, eat them up. Hey, have a great day, guys. Thanks for watching. Totes appreciate it.